Welcome to my new album called Ramadan Videos of 2026. Hello everyone, this is Mr. May4. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And this video we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna work in an album, inshallah it's gonna called Ramadan Videos on 2026. This album is gonna talk about, and the main topic will be about Islamic videos. We're gonna talk about the prayers. We're gonna talk about the fasting. We're gonna talk about anything that is related to Islam. So I wanna say is in this video what I wanna talk about is inshallah in the future we're now in the month of Sha'ban. We're gonna go to the month known as Ramadan, and what I wanna say is there's something that some of us we think that it's a special day, but which is not a special day. As you think in 15th of Sha'ban, you think some people it's a special day to fast. It's a special day to pray tahajjud, and it's a special day to give sadaqah. All of these are not true, as it's never ever reported that Prophet ﷺ ever did such thing. So this is something that some of us people think it is. As you see there are things that are actually not related to Islam, but people just make up and think, just come up with an idea that's not really related to Islam, but thinking that they are getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, which is not true. Now I want to talk about is that fasting has four different levels. We have fasting called fasting that is wajib, which is it's a must for Muslim to fast, and fasting which is a sunnah, which is recommended for you to do that, meaning that if you don't do it, there is no sin on you. And the third type is the fasting which is not allowed, which is forbidden for us to fast. And the fourth one is the fasting which is not really recommended, but there's no sin if you do that, so it's best not to fast. So the fasting which is must for us is the fasting of Ramadan, fasting of a penalty if you did a sin which requires a penalty, such as if you were to break an oath and you said, "Wallah, I'm not gonna do this such thing," and there's the expiation mentioned in the Quran where Allah said, فكفارته إطعام عشرة مساكين من أوسط ما تطعمون أهليكم أو كسوتهم أو تحرير رقبة. That you should feed 10 people or clothe them or free a slave, but slaves are not possible nowadays. Then if you cannot do that, now you fast for 3 days. So this is that fast that's expiation. And then this fast that is that you made yourself to be obligatory, but which is not the case. So like you said that if you save me, if I pass you for this exam, I'm gonna fast it for you like 2 days. Then you have to do that. You made yourself to be obligatory. So which you should. It's not actually recommended to make a vow to Allah. Which so we should. It's not something that we should do. So, and it's actually discouraging. But the other fasting that is also haram for us to fast, that's obligatory, that is sunnah for us to fast is. I'm gonna talk about the fasting which is sunnah, is fasting of 6 days of Shawwal, fasting the day of Arafah, fasting the day of Ashura, fasting every Mondays and Thursday, fasting the white days. All of these days are considered to be fasting that is a sunnah. So meaning that there is a reward if you do it, and if you don't do it, there is no sin in you. And also you can, even if you start to fast, you can also break your fast. There is no sin in breaking the fast. But breaking the fast of fast which is obligatory, no, that one you cannot break it. There is sin on you if you break it without a reason that allows you to skip. The other one is fasting which is haram. This is the two Eid, which is Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, the 3 days of Tashriq, which is 3 days after Eid al-Adha, and 1 or 2 days before the month of Ramadan. That might be the 28th or 29th of Sha'ban, because actually 29th of Sha'ban, because we don't know if Ramadan is going to be on that day or they be the 30th of Sha'ban. So meaning that Islamic month can either have 29 days or 28 days, depending on that. So 29th is the day that you should not fast at all, because you don't know if Ramadan will be the following day or not. If it's not the following day, meaning that even the 30th day is not even, it's also haram to fast, because this is 1 or 2 days before the month of Ramadan, which is haram for us to fast, and the two Eid and the 3 days of Tashriq. So these are days that are haram for us to fast. And the fasting of makruh is fasting that's not recommended, that can either be on every Friday or Saturday, which you should not fast. But if it's like 3 days of if it's like the white day, if it happened on that day, yeah, then there's no problem in fasting, which is the 12th, 30th, and 14th of every Islamic calendar, which it can either be on Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, it can be on Safar or Muharram. But of course, Muharram on the 10th day is the day of Ashura. So like 3 days on every Islamic month. Then the other, what I want to say is, so Allah said in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم ترحمون. That the fasting has been prescribed just like the way it has been prescribed to the people before us. Then we have the fasting, the people who do not have to fast. So the people who do not have to fast or have an excuse not to fast is a person who's sick, someone who's traveling, a woman in her menses or in their postnatal bleeding. Then the other one is a woman who is breastfeeding or a pregnant woman. So these are some of the reasons that exempts from a person to from not fasting in the month of Ramadan. So these are some of the reasons. Okay. Now, with regards to traveling, you see there are permission that's given to only specifically to travel, only specifically those who are traveling, not anyone else. So someone who's residing cannot take it except they're traveling. So what are they? One of the main permission that's given to only travelers is to shorten the salawats, to shorten the dhuhr, asr, maghrib, no, not maghrib, sorry, dhuhr, asr, and isha. The prayer with 4 rak'ahs can be shortened into 2 rak'ah. Maghrib, which is 3 rak'ah, we have to complete them. We pray by 3, and Fajr is 2 rak'ah. So Fajr and Maghrib cannot be shortened. Rather, the prayers with 4 rak'ahs are only the one which can be shortened. And with regards to combining the salawat, these are not only limited to travelers, but it can also be done by residents, with the condition that if there's a real hardship. And some of the examples the scholars they give is if you're undergoing through an operation, and if you have like an exam that may take from that starts just before Dhuhr and ends at the time for Asr. So meaning that when it's before the Dhuhr time starts like 5 or 10 minutes before Dhuhr, and the exams has to start there, and it will end at the time for Asr. So meaning that you can go to the exam once you finish exam at the time for Asr, you start with Dhuhr and you combine with Asr. So these are some of the reasons that can be allowed to combine the Salah. And one thing I want to say is that traveling is not limited, cannot break the fast before they leave the city or later on the house as well. So when you're in the house and your flight is at 10 a.m. So what does that mean? Can I break the fast and take breakfast and act normally as if I'm not fasting? The answer is no. Why? Is because you're not yet traveling. So the scholars say that once you leave the city, that's when you become a traveler. Meaning that before you leaving the city or in your house, you're still a resident. So meaning that you have to complete the prayer, you still have to fast. Once when you leave the city, meaning that the flight goes up or you're in the bus, and then once you leave the borders of your city, the buildings that's considered to be a city, like if you go to a forest, where as if like you are outside of the city, then you can start breaking your fast. Then if you have to stop at some point, you can start shortening your prayers. So these are some of the that's when you can start taking the concessions for travelers. That's when it begins, not before leaving the house or before leaving the city. Okay, this is very clear. And another thing that Ramadan it's done is that we recite the Quran. Allah said شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. And what I would do is I would recite like maybe a juz, maybe for like from Dhuhr, after Dhuhr until maybe like 3 p.m. before Asr maybe. And then when I take a few minutes rest, then I may take like some few minutes recite some few pages. Then when I go to the mosque before Taraweeh begins, I would recite some pages until before the salah starts. And usually I would try my best level to go to early in the mosque, because at Taraweeh, the when you pray Taraweeh, the mosques are very full. Like, you find that, so you have to go early. If you come late, you find that the mosque is full, and you have to pray outside. And you know that Taraweeh and Tahajjud, the last 10 days where you pray Tahajjud, and the Jumu'ah prayer, these are the times where you see it's very common to see that the mosques are packed. But other than that, they are just empty. Like 5 daily prayers, when you go them, you feel like there's only like 5 lines, 6 lines. That's it. And then most of the time they're not packed. And this is the problem with the mosque. Only that if you go to Masjid al-Haram and Masjid Nabawi, the two holy mosques, these are the mosques that every Friday prayer are always busy. But and what I would recite, like maybe one juz a day, and then maybe like another half of the juz, as they call it, his. So, and then like I would be finishing like the 28th or 29th day of Ramadan. I'll try my best to finish within the month of from the Surah Al-Fatiha up to Surah Al-Nas. So this is what I just wanted to say in for this Ramadan. So more videos are gonna come in my upcoming album, and inshallah I'm gonna call it Ramadan Videos 2026. And the main purpose of this album is we're gonna talk about Islam, what's related to Islam, Salah, Zakah, Hajj, and the likes, anything that is related to it. So like, subscribe, and see you guys in another video.